clear with a low of 6 below, and Thursday sunny with a high near 9. The bakery at Cafe Latte features legendary cakes, cupcakes, and fresh-baked breads crafted with real ingredients. You won't find artificial flavors, colors, or preservatives at Cafe Latte, just pure quality. Whether it's a sweet treat or a gourmet meal, head to Victoria and Grand for Cafe Latte. More at cafelatte.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Broadcasting from the studios of AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and airing on WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk where facts matter. Welcome to The Gailey Show, the only daily LGBTQ radio news and talk show in the United States. I'm your host, John Parker. With me in the studio today is my executive producer, Jim Pounds.
Hey, all.
And in the second half hour of the show, Jake Wittich, managing editor of Windy City Times, and Tammye Nash, managing editor of Dallas Voice, will join us for an urgent conversation that we've been having here locally in Minnesota as journalists of how do you practice journalism when the government is actively and pervasively lying to you. But up first, Christopher Armitage is an Air Force veteran, journalist, former law enforcement officer, and author of Conservatism, America's Personality Disorder. He joins us in the studio here at AM 950. Christopher, welcome to The Gailey Show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, so you are doing a lot here while you're here in the Twin Cities, one of which is some work on the idea of soft secession. Tell us about that.
Soft secession is the idea that rather than drafting some sort of official declaration that you're going to leave the Union, you have an authoritarian federal government. It's a way of really using states' rights to defend something besides racism. You can actually use states' rights to defend reproductive rights, to defend freedom of speech, to make sure that people have universal health care, to defend LGBTQ and everybody's rights under the law. Now, it does that in a more oppositional environment, but also quietly. It's saying, okay, we are going to create as much great legislation as we can at the city and state level, and we're just going to get it done. We're not going to look for federal permission, and we're going to make them work if they're going to stop us from helping the people in our communities. Some of that is anti-corruption, some of it is non-tax revenue to fund public services, and all of that combines to fight fascism through quality governance at the most local level possible.
So, okay, when I hear for states' rights, I immediately think of MAGA trying to roll over all of the queer rights that we've gotten in the courts or briefly at the federal level. So can you walk us through an example that we could use here in Minnesota around states' rights? Because I know, like, we've had Hennepin County Attorney Mary Moriarty, who said, what are you all talking about? Like, all these agents are absolutely, they can be charged. We can prosecute them here. And we have folks that are trying to introduce legislation when our legislature comes back in on February 17th on how to hold them accountable. Can you talk us through some examples that you're finding in your reporting in the documentary that you're making of how this might work here in Minnesota, particularly around ICE? Well,
a lot of it is about not accepting these narratives that we cannot enforce the law. You know, the criminal code says that it's illegal to commit murder in Minnesota. And so the Hennepin County Attorney, the State Attorney General, any law enforcement agency here has that power. And anyone who feels like, oh, what about the supremacy clause or that sort of thing? Well, let me ask you this. If a U.S. senator or an ICE agent were to be, just walking around and strike a stranger off duty, if a U.S. House representative decided to harm their spouse or rob a bank, you wouldn't say, well, we need to let the DOJ or the FBI handle that. You would say, well, they broke the law here, and that's against our state law. And actually, Donald Trump himself knows this very well because he's been prosecuted by the federal government and the state government concurrently because they can actually, there's dual sovereignty in the United States. And so we shouldn't have to fight as hard as we do to say, hey guys, we actually have more power than we're using. But the thing is conservatives have mostly racist, really bad people, whatever term you want to use, they have effectively weaponized the idea of grabbing power wherever you can take it to meet your ends. Our ends are freedom, justice, democracy, taking care of our fellow human beings. Their ends are all harmful. And I think we should be more comfortable being aggressive with the power we have. So it's not saying at the federal level we shouldn't use what powers we have. It's saying at the local level, we're going to do everything we can to take care of people and let every case go to the Supreme Court, because I think that they like taking their vacations on their billionaire-funded yachts. And so if we just have enough, laws put on the books and actions taken at the city, local, state level, and we make them litigate every single one, they're going to go on vacation and not be able to handle the docket. And even if they do, let them enforce it in every single blue state, every single blue city.
That's something that's been happening here. All of our judges at multiple levels in Minnesota are being overwhelmed. A little bit to your point here, where there are plaintiffs being detainees, local governments that are suing the Trump administration, and they're having a really hard time keeping up here. The judges, but also the administration. I mean, they were going to haul in Tom Lyons here on Friday, and then because he wasn't, what was the case here? He wasn't releasing somebody that he was supposed to release by this judge. And the judge was like, if you don't do it, I'm going to force you here on Friday. And finally, today, they released the individual. So I'm curious then, actually, you know what I'm really curious about? Can I ask you, Christopher?
Please.
Because I've only got you for a really short period of time.
Course.
You're a journalist, you're a documentarian, you are an author. Tell us what you're seeing here in the Twin Cities. Because for a lot of us that are, been covering things here, it's like this is something that we've never seen before. Cars being abandoned on the street because their windows have been busted out and the person's been kidnapped. Watching people, so many videos of people being shot in the back or in their vehicle and murdered. What are you seeing here as you're coming in now and covering the Twin Cities?
I'll tell you that I see something that inspires me. Like every single day, I see this community coming together, because there's nothing like external threat to bind a community together. And I there's some stories I cannot go into specifics on about me going around town and say, wanting to print flyers to hand out to activists, and we're talking about like $200 worth of flyers, like 5,000 of them, and being told it's on the house. And like that, actually, like things like that are happening every day. I needed my first day here. I flew from was here a few weeks ago, and I'm back again. I came from a trip to Barcelona short and got here as quick as I could, so I didn't have cold weather clothes. And so I run out, and it's 9 degrees, and I don't have gloves or a hat. And I'm filming a little bit at the Whipple building, and I don't stay long. And I go to the thrift store, and I tell the lady, what I'm doing, and she gives me not just a scarf and gloves for me. She fills a bag with others and says, "Give these to people on the streets. I can't be out there, but please be out there." Every single day I'm seeing that. I've like it is incredible how this community is coming together. So yes, it is horrible, but you look at any community in crisis, a natural disaster or otherwise, and it brings them together. We have you in Minneapolis and in Minnesota are developing a shared identity through this tragic, unnecessary, brutal suffering. And it is not good. These things don't happen. And you say, well, boy, we're really lucky that those terrible things happen. But just like losing a loved one can lead to you becoming closer with your siblings, for example, we are as a country looking to this community here, and I am seeing inspiration. I am seeing this every day. I am motivated by what I see here, because the people on the street, this community, are taking this moment seriously. They're learning every single day, and they are not just showing up consistently, they're showing up stronger. They're building strength. That inspires me. So thank you to the community out here.
We're talking with Christopher Armitage, journalist and author of Conservatism, America's Personality Disorder, also a member of the family, the queer fam. And you are a veteran, and I know you're doing some work around maybe reading the Constitution to the occupying force here in the Twin Cities. I'm curious, as a veteran, what are you hearing from other veterans? And what do you all like this activism here around informing, educating ICE and Border Patrol about the Constitution?
It's really interesting. I mean, I feel so much of the shared community when I talk to fellow veterans, because there's this sense of, you feel that way too? I feel that way. And this idea that I signed up to defend the Constitution. When our country was founded, this is what our veteran community, I feel like a lot of conversations we're having. When our country was founded, they started out by saying, we're going to set the basic rules as being how to avoid tyranny. We're not starting out with what the government's allowed to do. We're starting out with what they're not allowed to do. And what they're not allowed to do is stop you from criticizing them. What they're not allowed to do is arrest you for no reason or go through your things for no reason. And they set these rules out as the very clear baseline. In that moment, we are seeing that totally destroyed in my fellow veterans. Coming out here, I feel like I'm going on a deployment again. Because I'm like, okay, cool. I'm on a mission. I have a job to do. I'm here to defend the Constitution, and I have rules of engagement. And the other side does not play by those rules, but we hold ourselves to a higher ethical and moral standard. And I'm so grateful for everybody out there. You know, but the veterans, I'm so excited, and I'm to continue to work with veteran communities, because I think over the coming years, we are going to continue to build these coalitions that will learn to show up in their own unique ways and have a lot of diverse strategies for fighting back.
There's this maybe idea, you can help unpack this for us, of the idea that folks who are in the armed services and our veterans are more likely to be supporting what the Trump administration is doing. Give us some nuance to that as a veteran and a former law enforcement officer. Like, how accurate is that?
That's a really good question. So I'll tell you, it's really exemplified by two people I know. One of them, we served together. We met at the gym, lived in the barracks. Good friend of mine, about to go visit him. His wife's pregnant, very excited. He was telling me, what about the good stuff Trump's doing? And I was like, oh my God. And he mentioned some policy that I was like, that's never going to happen. He just says it and they announce it on the news and they don't do it. But he was totally clueless about what's happening here. I was like, you have no idea. I've been seeing this every day. And he had no clue. He is a lot of
like
these
here
people.
in Minneapolis.
In Minneapolis, sorry, yeah. And what's
Wow.
happened? He was like, wait, you mean they'll just like slap your phone out of your hands for filming them and then tackle you to the ground and then lock you up for a couple days with no phone call? And like all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, I saw somebody singing a silly song and they got the crap beat out of them and they got hauled away. And he was like, that's crazy. And so he was totally clueless about it. He's just your Joe Rogan type listener. Yeah. That is a subsect, and breaking through information bubbles is the biggest part of that. And I have friends who are law enforcement officers who are like, oh, I don't feel good about this, but they won't connect it to Trump. Like, you will not be able to get them to criticize Trump. It's weird. There's some odd psychology to it. I think we have more to be gained by just really aggressively, I hate to say this, like Tea Party bad, Tea Party 2.0 for justice, humanity, equality, in the true spirit of this nation's founding. That's what we need to talk about. Whatever you want to call it. I know that name sounds icky, but look, the Republicans called themselves domestic terrorists at their convention in 2023. They literally had a banner that said, we are the domestic terrorists now. They're happy to weaponize or take any term that they want, and we shouldn't let them label us. We can call ourselves whatever we want. And I'm proud to be more of an originalist than anyone on the Supreme Court.
I could talk to you forever, and we're already out of time.
You come back in the next
You've
few
been
days,
listening. Seriously, standing invite. Christopher Armitage, journalist and author of Conservatism, America's Personality Disorder. Real quick, how can folks connect with you?
You can find me by searching The Existentialist Republic on Google, and that'll bring you to the Substack, also at The Existentialist Republic on YouTube.
Perfect. Thank you, Christopher. Friend of the show. All right, we're going to have a very quick break here. Again, more on The Gailey Show on AM 950 Radio and WCPT 820.
Winter reading, losing yourself under a blanket with the fireplace blazing away while submerging yourself in a book and trying to finish just one more page? Winter nights are the perfect time to read, and that's where Next Chapter Booksellers can help. They're independently owned and have all the bestsellers and new releases. Not sure what to get? Their friendly booksellers are great at recommendations. That's your winter reading headquarters. Next Chapter Booksellers off Snelling and Grand. More at nextchapterbooksellers.com.
Would you let animals pick your insurance? Do you really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates? Or how about a celebrity quarterback or fake university saving you money? There's a lot of marketing stunts when it comes to insurance, but what you really need is someone looking out for you. Call Array Insurance, and they will work hard to find you the best insurance coverage and rates. To avoid gimmicks, call Cheryl at Array, 763-504-3067, or arrayinsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
In today's uncertain times, Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces believes that a fire can add comfort and security to your life. At Woodland, our mission is to connect you to a place for fire that works.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces installed our wood stove years ago, and we still love it. Watching the fire, feeling the heat, is a joy we experience every day. And knowing we have a reliable heat source makes us feel snug and safe.
There are many choices in wood, gas, or electric. For diversity and styles, at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, we display over 180 models, and 35 of these are burning displays. You can experience the glow and warmth of a live fire.
Whether wood, gas, or electric, find a fire that warms your heart, a fire that adds comfort and security to your life. See the many choices at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, located on the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis, and online at woodlandstoves.com.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces since 1977. For over 48 years, our slogan has been, out of the ordinary products and services. Our mission is to get you a fireplace that works in your life.
Hey, this is Andy Otto, Executive Director of Twin Cities Pride and your host of Twin Cities Pride Amplified. Our community needs your help. Twin Cities Pride is collecting donations to help our local community in need. We're collecting everything from shelf-stable food to household cleaning supplies, infant care items, and personal care products at our Pride Cultural Arts Center. If you're looking to help, reach out to us at info@tcpride.org or just stop by 1201 Harmon Place in Minneapolis. It's our time to take care of our community and take care of each other all year long.
Located just north of 50th in France, the Great Wall Restaurant has provided a delicious taste of authentic Chinese cuisine since 1981. Specializing in Szechuan and Peking dishes, they offer one of the most extensive menus in the Twin Cities. Favorites include hot and sour soup, pan-fried dumplings, and mushu pork with homemade Chinese pancakes. Stop by their Edina location or call for takeout at 952-927-4439. See the full menu at greatwallrestaurant.us.
Welcome back to the Gailey Show. I am John Parker. We are coming up on the bottom of the hour in studio with my executive producer, Jim Pounds, Christopher Armitage. Wow.
He's a powder keg, isn't he?
Seriously, that's some really good work that's happening there. Yeah. We're going to stay in contact with him for sure.
And impressive really that he's a veteran, that was in law enforcement. This is somebody that's not philosophically motivated, but truthfully motivated by his own experiences, which is impressive.
Exactly. Okay, so there's a couple of news items that we need to get here. One is from Gender Justice. So Gender Justice has set up a new reporting form. It is confidential, and it is for queer folks who want to report abuse at the hands of ICE, Customs and Border Patrol, DHS. So it is to investigate unlawful conduct by them. You can go to their website, which is Gender Justice. Gender Justice .us. I was gonna say .com. I'm like, I know it's a .us. It's a .us. It's right there on the homepage, genderjustice.us, to report this. And I reached out to them to ask them, because they just opened this up, what information, or what are people reporting right now? And obviously that information is confidential. What they're finding, though, is agents that are calling women slurs. They are body shaming people based off of their appearance. There are physical threats and intimidation. There is misgendering of trans women. We've seen stories from St. Cloud, Minnesota, where queer people, a couple, I think, Jim, you had seen this story. You were telling me about it, where they were going to a protest, and they simply asked one of the agents, why do you have such a big gun? And they pushed them to the ground.
Yeah. And arrested them. And pepper sprayed them. And held them, took them to Minneapolis and held them for hours. I mean, this is,
Yeah. And
it's Germany in the 40s.
In the announcement of this new form that you can go and use at Gender Justice's website. Their executive director, Megan Peterson, said history has long shown that gender-based violence is a feature, not a bug of oppressive systems. The flood of reports from Minnesotans and the murder of Renee Nicole Good, a queer woman, by a federal immigration agent show that gender-based violence is unfolding here now. By documenting what people have experienced and witnessed, we can demand accountability and ensure this history is not rewritten by those in power. That was a quote from Megan Peterson, executive director of Gender Justice. So again, I just want to be very mindful and repeat that. genderjustice.us, right there on the homepage, you can report gender-based violence by federal immigration agents, and they will review it from there. They've been such a huge advocacy. It's so great that we have them here in Minnesota to provide legal support to folks who are suffering at the hands of the Trump administration, and even beyond that, MAGA, and folks who don't like the queer community. So please stay tuned to Gender Justice for that. There's information coming out. We now know that the agents who were involved in the shooting death of Alex Preddy, they are on administrative leave. Specifically, the two agents who discharged their weapons. The spokesperson for Customs and Border Protection telling local media that the move is standard protocol. We still do not know any information about who they are. We don't know their names. We don't know where they are. All of the folks who were involved with that, the Section 7 agents, have been deployed to other out-of-state. So they are not here right now. The two officers, well, we do know the two who shot Alex Preddy, one was a Border Patrol agent and one was a Customs and Border Protection officer. DHS has released a timeline based off of footage from body cameras. We're going to get into this in the second half hour. I'm just going to say that they released it. They released a timeline to Congress. It does refute the storylines, and I'll say that storylines because they are fiction, that Kristi Noem, Stephen Miller, J.D. Vance, Greg Bovino, all of them were putting out there about what happened on Saturday morning. And I'm not going to go beyond that because we haven't had independent folks look at these videos and confirm what we're seeing here. And again, I don't want to be seen as a conspiracy theorist, but it is our editorial opinion for the time being that we're not going to directly quote and say what is in releases from DHS because so much of that needs to be independently verified. So what I am reporting, though, is they have sent a timeline to Congress, but that hasn't been independently verified. We see a story that CEOs, and Jim, I know you'll have a lot to say about this. So the CEOs of the major corporations here in Minnesota have been silent since Operation Metro Surge began.
Worthless. Worthless might be a good word.
Hang on, let me report what we know. They have been silent. And finally, on Sunday, or over the weekend, rather, a bunch of CEOs through the Minnesota Chamber of Commerce issued a letter that was basically how to say, an exercise on how do you say something without saying something. They called for de-escalation. They called for people working together, et cetera, et cetera. Well, today there was the announcement of a fund to support small businesses that are being negatively impacted by Operation Metro Surge. Now, the fund is being managed by the Minneapolis Foundation, and the initial amount is $3.5 million they're going to use in grants that they're going to disperse to smaller organizations to support these businesses. Now, I want to note that there's already reporting that immigrant-owned businesses have been losing 50% to 100% of their revenue because of Operation Metro Surge. Obviously, there's a negative impacts. North Star Policy Action organization says we're losing about $80 million a week. Conservative estimates based off of what Operation Metro Surge is doing. So how many Minnesota companies, Jim, funded this $3.5 million?
Well, I think you gave me a number. Did you say 28?
28 companies.
Why wasn't it 60?
We're
would be
talking
my
about
first question.
Allianz, we're talking about Best Buy, we're talking about Ecolab, General Mills, and Target. 28 companies apparently could only cough up or scrounge $125,000 to give to this fund.
On average, yeah.
Yeah, if you divvy out that $3.5 million by 28, it's $125,000.
Well, I think we figured out the CEO of Target makes $20 million. So I've said, toss in another $250,000, Brian.
Yeah. Well, he's only CEO for another few more days, and then he is out as of January 31st. You are listening to The Gailey Show. We're going to have Tammye Nash and Jake Wittich when we come back. More after this very quick break.
This is Santita Jackson, Minneapolis, St. Paul. I couldn't be more excited about starting our days together, Monday through Friday.
Oh, Tammye Nash.
I'm here.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too, I guess.
It's been forever.
Are you guys getting any rest up there?
No.
You just look tired, man. You sound tired.
Yeah.
In so many ways.
Well, we usually sit here and go, oh, those poor people in Texas. And now look what's.
Yeah.
Now Texas looks pretty good.
No, not really.
No.
Don't get carried away there, Jim.
Oh, that's right.
No, it's folks have been reaching out. I mean, we're doing our regular broadcast, and then we're also, because we're in Minneapolis, we're helping out a lot of other stations in Chicago and Wisconsin, a couple of national programs, and providing reporting as well. So it's been I haven't done hard news for like 20 years.
It's a whole different animal, isn't it?
It's a whole. I'm like remembering all sorts of things that I had to, all those skills from working in television. How many years ago? Jake Wittich.
Hello. Hi, Tammye. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Oh, so you haven't met each other? Okay. Well, introduce yourself. You're both managing editors. Jake is the managing editor of Windy City Times. Tammye is the managing editor of Dallas Voice. Jake, you also do some freelancing with Sun-Times still, right?
Yeah, Chicago Sun-Times. It's been about a month or two, but it's slowing down there.
Well, I'm very grateful for both of you to join me for this conversation today. So we're going to switch back here. It sounds like everybody's mics are working, right, Patrick? Everyone's mics are working, video is working. So we'll go back to the commercial feed, and then in a minute, we'll start up the segment.
Cool.
And be sure to say you heard about us on AM 950. We can't wait to meet you.
Theater in the Round Players is kicking off the year with a beautiful new production of How to Catch Creation. It's a soulful drama centered on the powerful legacy of a Black feminist writer from the 1960s. Her story reaches across time, weaving together the lives of 4 artists searching for art, family, and a place to belong. You'll be captivated by this profound exploration of identity. Experience How to Catch Creation at Theater in the Round now through February 8th. Tickets at theaterintheround.org.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 8, tonight clear with a low of 6 below, and Thursday sunny with a high near 9. The bakery at Cafe Latte features legendary cakes, fresh baked breads crafted with real ingredients. You won't find artificial flavors, colors, or preservatives at Cafe Latte, just pure quality. Whether it's a sweet treat or a gourmet meal, head to Victoria and Grand for Cafe Latte. More at cafelatte.com.
ATNF AM 950, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Coming to you from the studios of AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and airing on WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk where facts matter. Welcome back to The Gailey Show. I'm John Parker. It is 33 minutes after the hour. In studio with my executive producer, Jim Pounds. Dallas Voice just started its 42nd year as the voice of the LGBTQ community in North Texas and beyond. You can visit their website for their award-winning reporting at dallasvoice.com and their social media pages on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. Tammye Nash has worked as a professional journalist and is their managing editor, spending more than 30 of those years as a writer and editor for Dallas Voice, the LGBTQ media source for North Texas and beyond. In her spare time, she takes photos mainly of birds and flowers and the dogs. Tammye, welcome back to the Gailey Show.
Hey, thanks. Nice to see you guys again.
Good to see you again. And Windy City Times has been the voice of Chicago's LGBTQ plus community since 1985. This year marks the news outlet's 40th anniversary of uplifting queer stories, reporting with pride, and chronicling LGBTQ plus history. Visit windycitytimes.com/newsletters to sign up for the publication's excellent weekly LGBTQ plus news updates. Jake Wittich is the managing editor of Windy City Times, where he reports in-depth stories on Chicago's LGBTQ plus community and oversees the publication's growing newsletter operation, and was named by the Chicago Journalists Association the 2025 Journalist of the Year. Jake, welcome back. Good to see you.
Hello, it's good to be back.
All right, folks, we are used to having Jake and Tammye here to talk about their award-winning reporting and what's happening in Texas, what's happening in Chicago. But there has been an issue that we have been wrestling with here locally in the Twin Cities since the beginning of Operation Metro Surge. And that is, how should media outlets and journalists do their job, provide good quality fourth estate journalism when the federal government is lying through their teeth at you? An example of this, obviously, the murder of Renee Nicole Good, the shooting in North Minneapolis, where they put out a completely bogus timeline of events and what happened with an individual when an agent ended up shooting in the leg. And then we find out a week later, everything they said was incorrect. Then we have the murder of Alex Preddy this past Saturday, an ICU nurse. And throughout the day on Saturday and for the days afterwards, and some still are continuing to lie about what happened in that moment. Now, I wanted to talk to two professionals who I know and I respect, who do this work on a daily basis, who are the real journalists. I just play one on YouTube. Jake and Tammye, how do we do this here? Because we've got folks locally, for instance, who will take a photo of a gun given to them by DHS, public information officers, and just run with it. On Saturday, they claimed it was Alex Preddy's gun. And I'm sitting there going, they've been lying to you. This is a photo of a gun on a chair, in a car, on a car seat. No context whatsoever. And you're running with it as if it's the real deal here. And so how should we be dealing with that? And I guess maybe, Tammye, we can start with you. I mean, how would you approach, with your staff writers, with yourself writing stories, with a government that's just lying at you? Do you quote them? Do you include them? How does that work?
Well, in Texas, we're used to state officials who lie to you on a regular basis. I mean, we've got Greg Abbott and Ken Paxton, and they lead the pack of lying people. I'm trying real hard here, John, to maintain language.
Thank you, Tammye.
But it's like, for me, it's I try to write it in a way that says, here's what they're saying, this is what they're claiming, but less so in print, but more so in blog posts, which are less formal for us, to do it in a really sarcastic way. Like, here's what they're saying, and we all know that's crap. We all know they're liars. And honestly, I really hate Ken Paxton, and I will just say that sometimes in a blog. We all know he's a liar, but here's what he's claiming. But I think it's important to point out that this is what they're saying. This is their explanation. This is their justification. But make sure you point out it's just what they're claiming. There's nothing factual to back it up yet. They've not presented any evidence, because people need to know what they're claiming. People need to see those lies. And so you say, the Department of Homeland Security is claiming that they took this gun that Alex Preddy had this gun and was threatening officers with this gun with 2 magazines. You know what? Texas is very much a constitutional carry state. You don't have to have a permit to carry. You have to have a permit to carry concealed. I have that permit. I travel a lot on my own. I go into areas that maybe are not that safe. And I am an obviously gay person, and I live in a very conservative area. So yeah, I have weapons. I carry, and I carry an extra magazine. I have never ever pulled that gun on anybody. I've never brandished it at anybody. It's there for my protection. It's there in case of an emergency. And they're going to tell us that he had this gun and he waved this gun around and he was threatening mass destruction or whatever it was they said. Right. But and then you say, and you can look at this video here and see that that's not true at all. I mean, I think we have to quote what they say as what they say and then point out that it's lies. That's
about for you.
I agree. Point out that they're lies, point out the context. The Chicago Tribune did some reporting after the shooting of Renee Good, where they said they found basically the Fed statements after Renee Good's murder echo the same kinds of narratives they put out in Chicago during Operation Midway Blitz. So I think looking at the pattern and providing that context when they do lie, like, hey, they've lied like this before, and here's links to those articles, everything, you can give all that context. I think it helps people understand. And I think when, if they just show like a picture of a gun, there's no context, draw attention to what is missing, from their statements. Like, they said this, but they did not acknowledge these aspects of that claim or parts of the story. So that's kind of what I try and do. It's hard because some people are just going to believe what they want to believe, whatever aligns with their worldview. And I don't know how we get through to those people. I wish I did, but it's difficult.
On Saturday, there were multiple press conferences basically I spent most of the day in press conferences watching them and for reporting here for AM 950. And I'm curious what you think of this. MS Now started covering Kristi Noem's press conference. And by that point, I think we had 3 videos that we knew for sure from bystanders of Alex Preddy's murder. MS Now starts playing her press conference, and then about 2.5 minutes in, stops the feed and pulls away from it. And the host at the moment was Reverend Al Sharpton, and they said, we've made a decision. We're not going to do this anymore because she's just lying, and we know that she's lying, so we're not going to continue airing that. Was that the right call, Tammye?
That's hard. That's a hard question. Again, for me, in my opinion, I understand you're full of crap. We're not gonna give you this weight. And my partner at the time used to say that it was like mainstream news that helped Trump get elected because they acted like, what he was saying was reasonable, and they reported on it like he was a reasonable person. But at the same time, I feel like you have to show these lies because these lies are just so egregious, y'all. They are so over the top, so obviously false. And if you can it's a balance between letting them lie themselves into a corner when you have the proof here that you can say, okay, well, they're saying here, but look, this is what happened. This is the 3 videos we have that showed that they're lying. And I think you have to find a way to cover what they're saying without giving the weight of truth to what they're saying, if that makes sense. You can, I can tell you what, my 1.5-year-old niece came and told me. Or I can tell you what my dad was telling me, who's 88 years old and has Parkinson's, in the middle of the night about this machine that was down by the creek, But But I can tell you that in a way that this isn't real, this isn't factual, and I think we have to treat so much of what they say. But at the same time, I got a lot of flack from people here in DFW in our coverage area because I let the gay Republicans
Log cabin.
Log cabin. There you go. I let the local log cabin folks. We have another one that was Metroplex, and that was stuck in my head. I let the log cabin Republican folks write, how dare I, columns that we put in our paper, and I'm like, I had some of the the very democratic activists. How dare you? How can you do this? Why would you give them a platform? I'm letting you hear what they're saying. What is it? What ancient Chinese guy was like? Know your enemy, right? How better to know your enemy than to listen to them and hear what they're saying and see what they're telling you, because then you get to point out the differences.
Jake, to you, should MS Now have cut away from that Kristi Noem conference?
It's really a balancing act. I do kind of see value in cutting away. If it's a live stream, how can you provide the context needed to show those are lies? It's just completely platforming their lies, and someone who's only going to tune in that moment is just going to get that clip of her press conference without any context. So maybe it's a matter of recording it, editing it in a way where you can provide that commentary that disputes each one of her points. And then people get the full story rather than just what Kristi Noem wants you to hear. So
those are both really interesting points. Both really interesting points. Something I've noticed since Sunday, when we have now 7 videos, I believe, maybe more to come, is how they're trying to characterize it. And I know that newsrooms are trying to be balanced. They're trying not to take sides. And so I keep seeing the word contradict, that the videos contradict DHS story, the DHS version of events. In my mind, I'm like, that is not what's happening here. Contradict suggests a debate. To me, I'm like, these videos repudiate, they refute, they prove lies that are going on here. What do you think about this word choice? The newsrooms, and it's all of the major publications, the Times, Guardian, locally here, the Star Tribune, MinPost, they're all using this word of AP News is using the word contradict. And I don't mean to be like nitpicking per se, but I'm just curious about the uses of words and headlines that seem to sane wash this lying that's happening.
Term sane washing.
It's hard. I'm guilty. I've used contradict before. I just didn't put enough thought into that use of the word. But you're right. Contradict is not accurate there, and it would be the video disputes what they claim or
disputes.
Yeah. So I think I don't know. There's probably newsrooms that are intentionally using contradict, but some probably like me just didn't put that extra level of thought into the word choice.
To me, when you say it contradicts. To me, it's saying, well, this is what they're saying, and here's the video where you can watch it with your own eyes. It obviously contradicts, or blatantly contradicts. Right. You can use some qualifiers there, and I will say this: I'm going to be upfront. I at least in the last year, in everything that revolves around the MAGA cult, I'm not going to act like I have to be fair and unbiased and present their lies as truth. I don't have to do that. I'm going to tell you, here's what the liars said, but
I have to fit this. All very interesting points, and I can't wait to continue this. After a very quick break, we're talking with Tammye Nash, managing editor of Dallas Voice, and Jake Wittich, managing editor of Windy City Times. Stay tuned, folks.
I am the amazing Cassandra, a mechanical fortune teller who can predict the exact date and time of your passing. But 5 teenagers have died, and I alone have the power to save them if they can pass my test of song. Their musical trials begin January 16th at Lyric Arts Theater in Anoka. Ride the cyclone along with them at lyricarts.org.
AM 950 would like to thank everyone who joined and donated during our winter membership drive. Your support shows that Minnesotans still value an independent progressive radio station that delivers facts, not spin. AM 950 is locally owned, based right here in the Twin Cities, and dedicated to uplifting small businesses and diverse communities. At a time when some voices are being pushed aside, AM 950 refuses to be silenced. Please help keep progressive radio on the air. Visit am950radio.com and donate today.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. I've been telling you about my friends at Snap Construction, who are arguably the most well-reviewed exterior construction company in the metro. Don't just take my word for it. Take a look at all their reviews online. Winter is the most cost-effective time of the year to complete your construction project. The majority of Minnesotans choose to have their work completed on their home in the summer when they should be enjoying the weather. As a result, the demand for labor in the summer is much higher. The most cost-effective way to improve or restore your home is in the winter due to the lower demand. Right now, Snap Construction is offering an additional 30% off of labor to the AM 950 listeners on your next construction project between now and the end of February. Call 612-333-SNAP and mention AM 950 for an additional 30% off. As always, Snap Construction stands by their work with a lifetime craftsmanship warranty. Don't wait to get a free estimate by calling 612-333-SNAP or find them online at snapconstruction.com. Financing options available.
Would you let animals pick your insurance? You really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates? Or how about a celebrity quarterback or fake university saving you money? There's a lot of marketing stunts when it comes to insurance, but what you really need is someone looking out for you. Call Array Insurance, and they will work hard to find you the best insurance coverage and rates. So avoid gimmicks and call Cheryl at Array, 763-504-3067 or arrayinsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
Hey, Francois, have you made any New Year's resolutions?
No.
Well, mine is to learn some French. Can you help me?
Bien sûr.
How do you say this? Can I buy you?
Est-ce que je peux t'acheter
Macaroons from Nicolette's.
des macarons de Nicolette's?
Now, say it all at once.
Est-ce que je peux t'acheter des macarons de Nicolette's?
Oh, absolutely. I'll have a box of raspberry rose, blueberry cheesecake, and chocolate.
Mais c'est quoi ça?
Thank you, Francois. You can order them online at nicoletsmacaroons.com or visit their store in Plymouth. Merci.
Welcome back to the Gailey Show. I'm John Parker. We are coming up on the top of the hour, having an excellent conversation, important conversation with Tammye Nash, managing editor of Dallas Voice, and Jake Wittich, managing editor of Windy City Times, about how to practice good quality journalism in an era where the federal government is spewing lies at us 24/7. I want to follow up on the contradict word choice because it's leading to this idea of both sides. Like the idea in journalism, right, is you got to get both sides of the story, right? There's always both sides of the story. How do you do this when one side is a lie? Like, how is this the point of... at its best, journalism is supposed to provide for self-governance, right? For free people to govern themselves. And we've all seen it at its worst, right? Clickbait, all the journalism that was just sensationalism, et cetera, et cetera. But this idea of both sides. And I think, Tammye, I think I know where you're going to go because you've had this sort of theme here of you got to say it. You've got to tell them, the audience, what they're saying so that you can then know your enemy. But it also leads to this, and I'm going to call out a very specific incident. I was watching, this was after Renee Nicole Good's murder, watching ABC's morning show, on Sunday morning show with Martha Raddatz, and she was going after Tina Smith, saying, you're accusing the Republicans of, lying about her murder, that they're jumping to conclusions, but then there are people in your party that are saying it's a murder without an investigation. Those two, how do you react to that? Equating the people who have to investigate the murder they're lying. That to me is different than, a Congress person just saying, well, I think that's a murder, but they're not in charge of the investigation. One side is in charge of the investigation, but Martha's question made it seem like, well, there's both sides of the story. You all are both lying here. So I don't necessarily need commentary on Martha per se. I'm just curious from both of your perspectives, how should we be approaching this both sidesism? Jake, maybe we can start with you.
Yeah, for me, it's how I frame the story. One example would be with the attacks on the transgender community, like when Trump passed an executive order incorrectly claiming that there are only two sexes and, misconstruing the differences between sex and gender. I wrote about that, but I didn't just say, here's what Trump said. That wasn't even the lead. The lead was, here's what local activists are doing. Here's how our local trans community is coming together in the face of this. And that's the setup. Then I would present what Trump said and then bring it back to the trans community. So I don't know. I think it's about framing, setting the other side up in a way that gives the context from my community that I cover. And I do have a duty to serve. So.
Tammye, for you?
I think it's important, like he said, to realize that for us, we are the LGBTQ media. We're here for our community. That's who we owe. That's who our responsibility is to, our community, to make sure. And I love the way you were saying, Jake, about burying Trump's crap, and going with what these people are saying. And I think that that's important. And for me, again, it's about there are two sides in that you have this side saying this and this side saying this, but this side is based on fact and evidence. This side is a bunch of crap. It's lies. And I don't personally, and I know that there's a guy that used to work for me as a reporter. He's an older guy, and he worked in mainstream for a long time, and he's like, it's just not journalistically ethical to. And I said, it's ethical because I'm telling the truth. I don't have to pretend like these people are saying anything but lies. I don't have to pretend like there are two valid sides. I don't, because I'm trying to tell the truth for my community. And I don't have a problem saying they're full of crap. They're lying to you. This is what they're saying, but they're lying. And all you have to do is look with your own two eyes and see. Use your mind.
That's the thing right there, is that I feel like the local media has been so reluctant to just look the administration in the face and say, particularly after Saturday, where I'm like, if you all can't look at them in the face and say, this administration is lying. They are lying. We're going to stop with the decorum and we're going to say what it actually is. This isn't misinformation. This isn't, some little fancy word to say lie without saying lie.
Not a misunderstanding. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I want to say this because I thought of this.
Is it against good journalism ethics to say the government is lying to you?
Not if the government is lying to you. I mean, I think that's the very foundation of journalistic ethics. They're lying to you. I believe it's not about presenting both sides. That's not my goal. Presenting both sides is not my goal. The goal should be to present the truth. And and I guess truth, some people think truth is, an opinion, but it's not. I mean, we all know that putting a light bulb up your ass isn't going to cure COVID, right?
I got about a minute left. Jake, I want to give it to final word to you.
Yeah, I mean, and I similar approach to Tammye, but there's other, I guess, more traditional journalists who might look at me as an activist more than a journalist. But I don't care, So what, I have an agenda. Yeah, I work for an LGBTQ news outlet, and I want to uplift queer people and help queer people succeed and have rights. So whatever, call me an activist. I'm still doing journalism.
We're going to paint an A on our chest. It's true.
This has been so lovely. I knew it wasn't going to be enough time, but folks, go to dallasvoice.com to read all of Tammy's and that publication's award-winning journalism covering North Texas and beyond. Head to windycitytimes.com to read all of Jake's award-winning reporting on Chicagoland. And for folks in Chicago, up next is Democracy Now! Talk about good journalism. In Minneapolis, it is the Matt McNeil Show. Stay tuned after that for Native Roots Radio. And then at 10 p.m. Central, Step into the Unknown with Greg Bakken on Ghost Box Radio. Jake, Tammy, thank you again for your time today. And until this time tomorrow, dear listeners and viewers on YouTube, keep it queer, America.
Keep it queer, America.